All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good morning so far. Before I open it up to questions, this summer it's obviously been unusually hot in most of the country, like brutally hot. And I own way too many vehicles. So right now I've got seven, eight, yeah, just my other truck. I've got 8 vehicles and only have 2 drivers. Most of my vehicles are old beater trucks or this and that. So yes, I know my wife keeps telling me I need to get rid of some, and I will. But because of the brutally hot summer, a lot of my trucks just sit there and the batteries, they batteries are old and they go dead. So one of my vehicles that I've been driving more recently, the battery's totally fried. So every time I get in it, I have to jump start it. And I'm going to go get the battery replaced and all that eventually. But if you do not have one of those portable jump starters in the back of your vehicle, I've used this sucker so many times. Now, obviously, because my battery's fried and I need a new battery and I have to jump it every time I start it. But when my cousins, they were on a boat and their battery died and they got stranded. And of course, they make fun of me for preparing, and everybody makes fun of you for preparing until they actually need your stuff, which is why when the pandemic hit, my phone was ringing off the hook, even from my liberal relatives. But anyways, I rode out on a jet ski with my portable jump starter. They were able to get the boat jumped. So get a portable jump starter for your vehicle survival kit. The one I have, there's a lot of brands out there. Just go on Amazon. I want to say mine's Norco and Noco, something like that. Norco. I don't remember, but get a portable jump starter. Okay, let me start looking at questions and on maybe future video on how you DIY Toyota Technical. What do you mean? I'm not sure what the question is. What it means when you say DIY Toyota Technical. Let me know more about that, and I will try and answer it and all that. So Colin says, "What is your opinion on having deadbolts keyed alike, same as a doorknob to access a home?" I'll be honest, I'm all about making life easier, so I think that's fine. I have no issue with that. I know, too many keys, you're going to lose them and all that kind of stuff. So, yes, criminals can pick locks. They mostly pick apartment locks because the apartment locks put on cheap deadbolts like a quick set. And so they'll go pick those locks and go in on them. But for single family homes, yes, again, they can do it, but you want to have all the other deterrents. So you want to have the alarm sign, you want to have the motion sensor lights. One of the most important things you can have is it's a, for lack of a better word, like a door stopper kick plate. So think about this as a piece of metal and it slides here. You just slide it in at night. That way nobody can open your door. Now, the downside is, and I can't believe my wife actually let me do this, is this piece of metal here. You have to drill it into your floor. That way that plate at night slides right into it like this. And so, yes, the wife did allow me to drill into our floor. We have them on every exterior door in our home, and it makes it virtually impossible to kick in the door. So the other day when what was she? She must have been taking a nap or something because I came home for something, tried to get in the door and I couldn't because she'd put it in. So I had to call her and have her take it out so I can get in the house. So get one of those. If you go again, Google it, Amazon, whatever. I'm trying to think what the name is. Kick Play. Oh, Nightlock is a company that makes them. There's a million generic brands that make them, but Nightlock is a company that makes the more well-known brand. So consider getting that for your home defense. Mr. Noon says it's NOCO, NOCO for the portable jump starter. So thank you for that. I knew I was close enough, but I have them in every vehicle I own, every vehicle survival kit I own. And it's probably the thing I use most often. I'm trying to think what else. We use the flashlights and things, and we use the first aid kit for the kids always cutting their hands or whatever a lot. But that portable jump starter is certainly one of the things we own. So let me see some weird questions that I'm not going to answer. Somebody says, "How do you feel helping rapists and human traffickers?" I don't, meaning I'm not going to help them. So I'm not going to go in because I don't even know what that question is. That's a bizarre word question. I want to help good, honest Americans and good people all over the world be safer, do the right thing. So yeah, that's a bizarre question, but hey, people come out of the woodwork. Let's see. Hey, Tanzania. Welcome from Tanzania. That is certainly a long way away in Ontario. Jason, how do you get yourself out of a situation where you were in a car and someone has a gun or knife to you from behind? So I could show you. We practice it in our Spy Dangerous class. SpyDangerous.com is a website, but you have to apply to that one. But anyway, The way you do it is you got to control the weapon. So if somebody's from behind, you have got to control the weapon. Like for a knife, you've got to grab that hand and bring it on you. That way you are holding it in tight, and then you're wrestling, meaning you're spinning around, getting to them and basically snapping their arm. So you're going to have a lot of adrenaline, which is a good thing, but it's not going to be pretty. It's not a graceful move kind of thing. It's immediately controlling that weapon. And as soon as you secure that weapon, then the struggle begins. But because that weapon is not going to kill you, it's not the knife pointed to your throat. With the gun, depending on where they have it, you may shove it up and pin it against the roof. You may pin it against a sheet real quickly. But remember, you can react faster than they can pull that trigger. It's like the old dollar bill trick where you hold the dollar bill. Let me see, hold it in between somebody's hands and drop it, and they can't close their hand enough because they can't react quick enough. Well, same thing. Some guy with a knife to your throat, and you're, please don't hurt me, please don't hurt me. And then you immediately control the weapon. As long as you have the control, then you can start fighting in the car and doing all that kind of stuff. So obviously a very nasty situation with a knife, you'll probably get cut. But if you do it the way I train you, it's going to be a superficial cut, and you'll still live. You'll still go home to see your family. So let me see. Let me keep going. How old are you? You look very young. Thank you, Thomas. I am 42 years old. But with the life I've lived and with 6 kids, I feel like I'm 142. Especially I've been sick all this week. The flu is going through our household, and I was puking my brains out earlier this week. And then, of course, it just goes down the line from one kid after to another. So today is the first day I've exercised all week, which says a lot, which I'm sick when I haven't exercised. There are 2 things I do when I'm sick. One is I don't exercise. So I guess one I do and one I don't do. As I don't exercise, which means I'm really, really sick because I love exercising 5 days a week. And the other thing is taking a bath. If you find me in the bath, I'm super sick because otherwise I hate taking baths. I'm a shower guy. Like I know some guys who take a bath every night, or my wife takes a bath almost every night. I hate baths unless I feel like I'm on death's doorstep, and then I'll get in the bath. Let me see. Mr. Hanson, was there a pain in the butt government to deal with during your time in the agency? Well, every government is a pain in the butt to deal with, kind of thing. It depends on how much do they need you, how desperate they are. So let's use Ukraine right now for an example, right? They need the U.S. to give them supplies. You need the U.S. to give them equipment to make sure they can stay free. So they need us so badly, they're willing to play ball. So again, it depends on who has the upper hand and how much somebody needs something out of you. A lot of these crappy third world countries where socialism is turned into a dump and all that is they're desperate. So they're willing to play ball. They're willing to work with you because even though they espouse socialism, they know deep down that capitalism is the way to go. And I've told that story before of one of the guys high up in the socialist government was like, everybody knows socialism doesn't work unless you're high up, and I'm high up, so it works for me. Ain't that the truth? Do you have any type of personal communication equipment if your cell phone goes down? So what I have are several, and I always pronounce the name wrong, the Baofeng, Baofeng, however spell it, the Baofeng radios. I have a lot of those, and I actually use those because we've got a bunch of property. We've got our 320 acres. We got some other property. So sometimes my 6 kids will just wander off into nowhere and I can't see them. So I have them take one of the radios because my kids are young. I had kids after I left the CIA, and I'm sure as heck not giving them a cell phone until as my daughter says, my mom and dad say I can't have a cell phone until I turn 18. Well, when they get their driver's license, they're 16, they'll get one of my burner phones to use, but they're not getting their own phone. So these days, when they go out in the middle of nowhere, I give them one of our radios, and that is what I like for communication is because, they work, they make life easier and that kind of thing. And I own way too many of them. I probably have 20 to 30 of these radios just to have the backup to the backup to the backup. Hey, Jason, where did you get your training dummy? So my training dummy that you can see over my shoulder here, I got that from Century Martial Arts. They make all kinds of training dummies, and I love that thing. I train on that thing all the time with self-defense. I beat the heck out of it. I own 2 of them, one here in my office, one here at home. And then I have another training dummy that I bought. I don't remember where I bought this one, but it's way too heavy. It's like got arms, and it's basically a person training dummy that I lean up against a wall and I can train with. but to carry it around, it is way too heavy. So I like these ones because when you empty out the sand or empty out the water that's in the base, they're much easier to carry around. Century Martial Arts. There you go, Mr. Noon. Yeah, you're already well ahead of me. Thank you. Um, Let me see what else we got here. Michael says, I know this is a delicate issue. Maybe I shouldn't ask, but do you think the Russians killed the former Wagner leader? Yes, 100%. They absolutely did. I am surprised, actually, that it took them so long, that they waited so long. So we know the Russians are famous for assassinations. They do assassinations all the time. Often it's with poison. That is the way they like to do it. So that guy rebelling, charging towards Moscow and all that, he signed his own death warrant. Everybody knew, everybody in the intelligence business knew that the second he did that, he signed his own death warrant. So I'm just surprised again that an assassin, they waited this long to, and again, I don't know what happened with the plane. I don't know if they planted a bomb on it. I don't know if they shot it out of the sky with a missile. I don't know what reports are saying exactly what happened. But yeah, the only thing that surprises me is how many weeks it took for them to bring him down. But yeah, we knew that guy was a dead man walking type of thing. Uh, let me see. More questions going here. Joe says, is your company currently hiring? Right now, to be honest, because I've got a ton of people working for me, great crew, great everything. A lot of my former CIA buddies or Navy SEAL buddies doing that. The only thing I'm looking right now, and I actually sent out an email about it yesterday, is it's a passion project. I'm going to open up a boutique fitness facility, and it's something I've been wanting to do for the past 7 years. It's based on training I had at the CIA plus nutrition, because nutrition is obviously critical. So it's kind of the combination of things of how to be in shape, how to get fit. And so I sent out an email last night saying if anybody is in the fitness business, meaning personal trainer, run a fitness facility, is I need somebody to run this fitness business because I certainly can't be there every day. I certainly can't run it. So somebody who's a fitness professional, and it would be a salary plus a percentage of revenue, but they've got to be an A player, meaning you've got to know how to sell, you got to know how to manage people. It's going to be a heck of a lot of work, but that is the only thing right now that I'm hiring for is somebody that would want to come in and run this fitness facility that I plan to start probably in the next 90 to 120 days, depending on how much I get my button action, which I plan to. So that is the thing right now that I'm looking for any fitness pros. So if you know anybody, please shoot me an email, jason@spybriefing.com. If you have any friends, family, anybody who's again, a fitness professional and may want to come and open and run my fitness facility for me. Let me see what else here. Can you make a video how to manipulate people? Well, I can tell you how to do it in a good way and not a bad way. The agency spies are the best in the business at doing it. And I'm trying to think here what I want to say and what I don't want to say. I mean, when you're doing it in the agency, obviously you're running surveillance, right? You are running surveillance. That way, you know these people better than they know themselves. What do they like to eat? What do they like to drink? What are their hobbies? Where do they like to go? What is their routine? At 8 a.m., they leave their house to go to their office. From 12 to 1, they take lunch every day. From 5 to 6, they go work out at the gym. Then they go here. So you know everything about these people. Then, of course, you have a chance encounter when you bump into them. And it's the old, hey, you like sailing? I like sailing. You like basketball? I like basketball. But the real way to manipulate people, and again, not for a bad way, is find out what they really want, meaning get to know what are their hot buttons, what really intrigues, floats that boat, what do they desperately want, what do they yearn for. I mean, it's spy psychology 101 in a way of doing deep research, getting to know a person and finding out what they want. And you have something that you can give them that will help them. So use it in a good way, meaning, and I'm just making up this, I just said fitness business. I believe when we launch this facility, it's going to help you lose weight, get a lot more energy, be in better shape compared to all the other businesses out there, because I'm combining a whole smorgasbord of stuff. It's not just going to be a gym where you can walk in and sign up. People are going to have to be screened to make sure they're the right fit. There's going to be some parameters like, hey, if you really want to get in shape, you got to be willing to work out 3 times a week for 30 minutes each. So in the scheme of things, that's not that long, right? 3 times a week, 30 minutes each, or 30 minutes each. But anybody who comes into my, wants to join my fitness facility and says, hey, I'm just looking to come in for, once a week for 30 minutes. Well, no, go somewhere else. There's a million Planet Fitnesses that'll take you because I know how to get results and I want results. So, don't waste my time if you're not going to do it. So again, you've got to know, I know I'm droning on here, but you got to know what really people want and give it to them, meaning help them, don't just try and sell them crap, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Let me see what else. Let me go here. Colin says, your book, Alone and Unafraid, a great book everyone should have. Thank you for the chapter 6 on the subject of bugging out with pets. Not too many people talk about the subject. Thank you. Everybody get Alone and Unafraid. You can go to, I'm trying to think where it is. We got so many websites, spybriefinggear.com. But yes, chapter 6, bugging out. There's a lot to plan for. Everybody thinks it's way too overwhelming, but you just have to think of everything you would need and everything you have. Like I have 6 kids. Number 7 is due in October. Me personally, I'm a minimalist. Like if it was just me, if I didn't have a wife and kids, I can live on next to nothing. So I would just have a very few supplies. I wouldn't have a few supplies. Let me correct myself. I would have a ton of supplies, but I would live in like a cabin in the woods in a shack without a lot of material possessions besides my supplies. However, because I got a wife and 6 kids and one on the way, I've got 9 people I got to plan for, which means we've got totes lined up for everybody. We got bug out bags lined up for everybody. We have a shed behind our house and it's got all the gear lined up, everything ready to go if we had to grab it. So it just takes planning. So you got to think, okay, if you've got a cat, if you've got a dog, well, where's your tote for that cat and dog? Where are the medications? Where's the bug out bag for the animal where you put their stuff in there? So it's simple planning, but most people don't want to do the planning to get their ducks in a row. And even though I personally, like I said, I'm a minimalist, meaning I would live next to nothing. But with my family, it's like moving an army almost. Like nothing happens quick type of thing. So getting the kids in the car in the morning, I'm like a sergeant, like, okay, 7:15, get in the vehicle now, move it. I don't care if your hair's not combed. I don't care if your teeth are not brushed. Get in the car. We're going to be on time. So yes, just make it easy on yourself. Just have the tote, have the bag, have a label for everybody's name, and you can grab it and go if you need to bug out. Same thing with our vehicle survival kits and everything. It's all in there. It's all labeled. Here's the bag with all the bags. And yes, it's a lot of equipment, but it makes the life heck of a lot easier. So, okay, my biggest Japanese fan is back. And I can't read Japanese, so I can't say what your name is. All right. Do you have any ironclad rules or philosophies you always live by? Ironclad rules. Well, I just said never be late. That is one of the reasons I love working with my agency buddies, my military buddies, is they're never late. Like if we say, hey, we're starting at 8:00, you're there well before 8:00. Now, my wife doesn't seem to share as much my philosophy of being on time. I'm working on it over the years. So never be late. I like Ronald Reagan's trust but verify. So verify everything. I mean, people come to me all the time offering me all kinds of whiz-bang deals or opportunities. And I'm interested in them if it is legit. I trust but verify. Like right now, besides starting my fitness business, I'm looking to purchase either a gun or a knife related business. And I have people come to me all the time and I trust but verify. So when they say, hey, my business is making $1 gazillion a year, well, show me the numbers. Let me see your accounting. And it gets rid of a lot of people that way because they're scammers. And as soon as you say, I'm going to have my accountant verify it, it gets rid of them. So trust but verify. Let me see, ironclad rules. Exercise. I realize some people absolutely hate exercise, but it's good for you. You need to do it. And exercise, I do it 5 days a week. You can do it whatever kind of extreme. Like clearly, I'm not jacked up. I don't look like I'm on steroids or anything, because I don't go crazy weightlifting. I'm more functional exercise to be lean, to be in shape, to be able to do what I need to do in a survival situation. So he says, you are financially able to take care of your 7 kids. That's impressive. Well, I live well below my means. I don't have anything fancy. So, yeah, 7 kids are expensive as heck, especially in these days. So a lot of my buddies are driving fancy cars or they're living in nice houses. I don't live, well, I'm not a rich man, but I don't live like a rich man. Meaning if you saw the way I live, it's besides all my gear, and my wife is always like, but you spend a fortune on guns and gear. Like that stuff doesn't count, dear. That's important stuff. But everything else, yeah, I live well below my means. I mean, if you saw my house, it's nothing fancy. It does the job. It's functional. Puts a roof over our head, clothes over our back, everything we need in life. Um, Floppy says my daughter is always late, drives me nuts. Me too. It drives me nuts when my wife's late. Like and I've had to learn over the years to just dial it down, deal with it. Like, but yes, it's still not like when people speaking of hiring, somebody asked me if you're hiring. Like we do job interviews. It's usually through Zoom, or if it's somebody in my town, it's in person. If we have an interview and you show up late, bum, done. Unless it is some kind of like emergency meeting. If you get on and say, hey, Jason, I just had a flat tire. I'm so sorry. Or hey, I just had a medical emergency. Well, I understand that happens. I totally get it. But people who show up for a job interview with me and they show up at, let's just say it's 8 o'clock and they show up at 8:03 and there's no reason why or no excuse, you're immediately done. So that's very, very important to me. Let me see what else looking here. You have a huge ranch. That is rich. I didn't pay a lot for it, to be honest. 320 acres in Cedar City, Utah, was much more affordable than most people think. And I do love that land. That is my. If I was a liberal, I'd say it's my safe space, but it's my happy place. It's my place I go get away from the world, where I turn on my cell phone, where I shoot guns, because sometimes you just want to be left alone. And sometimes I bring the kids and they absolutely love it. But sometimes like, no, no wife, no kids. I'm just going there to shoot, to train by myself, nobody else out there. Let's see. Lily says, is there still a high need for women in executive protection? Back in the 90s, when I was active, I was considered quite a commodity with all my training. Just curious. Lily, I run an executive protection company. It's one of the divisions we have, and absolutely women are in need. Women are in high demand to this day. So some of our best EPA agents are women because they blend in well, and sometimes that's what the client wants. Sometimes the client says, hey, I want only women. I want them plain clothes. I want them to blend in. And yes, executive protection agents who are women, because they're not a huge majority in the business, are absolutely needed. Yes. And we've done everybody. We've done musicians, A-list celebrities, executive politicians, and many times a woman is needed. So yes, if I was a woman and I was going to make a joke of how I could transition to a woman and then be much more effective in the executive protection business. But yes, if I was a woman and I was thinking about getting in bodyguard work and executive protection, there's a huge demand for it. So yes, that is a good niche to fill. Funny Business says living in a tent is way cheaper than a house. Like I said, if I was single, I'd probably live in a cabin in the woods and next to nothing. But I don't think I'm going to get my wife to agree with living in a tent. I'll try and let you know how that goes, but I don't think it's going to go very well. Just a hunch. And Char says, as the older I get, I have rather simple living. I'm all about simple living, really, seriously. I love a simple life, makes things easier. I always use the disclaimer. Besides my survival gear, my guns, my knives, my survival food, I really don't need that much. Like I don't have an iPad. I don't have like any fancy stuff. We have a TV, but because we recently moved, when I say recently moved, maybe like a year and a half ago, recently moved, it's still in the box, meaning our big TV is literally still in the mover's box because my wife keeps wanting me to hang the TV mount, and I'll get around to it. So I don't even need a TV kind of thing. So yeah, I'm a simple guy. Buying boxes of ammo makes you target for the government? Question mark. Well, yes and no. I just bought 20,000 rounds of 22 ammunition, and I have tens of thousand rounds in every ammo that I have. So you can buy them online from certain places. You just go to the store and buy them, 50 rounds at a time, 100 rounds at a time. And that way you're least likely to be on lists. But I've got ammo spread out everywhere. I mean, I've got it in bug out locations. I've got it at my house. I've got it at my office. I've got it in storage units, which you pay cash for, kind of thing. So I have a lot of ammo. I mean, it's all about diversification, is have stuff lots of places, mostly because, as I've said before, I have two buddies who their house burned down and they lost everything. So heaven forbid your house burns down. Don't have all your gear in one place, which is why I have my gear spread out. I even have my gear in different states, meaning I have bug out locations in different states. So I live in Utah, but I love the states of Idaho. I love the states of Wyoming. Nevada's close. I don't love Nevada that much just because politics and not as freedom friendly as Idaho has in Wyoming. So I'm about to give you what the FBI calls a clue is maybe in Idaho or Wyoming. I have bug out locations and they have a lot of gear because it's not super far of a drive from where I live. All right, let me see. Do you keep a long distance commo equipment like ham radio or sat phone? I do not have I do not have a ham radio, but I do have two sat phones, and they're great. Of course, you need a clear view of the sky, which is important. And what is it? I bought my two sat phones years ago. What is it? Inmarsat. Somebody will type in here and whatever it is. But yeah, sat phones were good. They are good. So let me see what else here. Scrolling down. Funny Business says, being a Mormon, how's your yearly food rotations? So I've got food. I've got a ton of the survival pouches, which is my favorite thing just because they're easy to use, add water type of thing. And in a stressful situation, you want life to be easy. You don't have to worry about 27 different ingredients. We also have the number 10 cans. And the number 10 cans, we do rotate. Those are the bigger number 10 cans. So we got everything in the number 10 cans. We got potatoes, use the potatoes a lot. We use the rice. We used the rice last night for dinner, actually. So we rotate through the number 10 cans. And then we also have the 5-gallon buckets full of grains, and we rotate through those. So those are the things we rotate most. And then, of course, we have a pantry where we've got a lot of stuff stocked. Including peanut butter, a lot of ranch dressing. You got to have ranch dressing for the end of the world. A lot of ranch dressing, all that type of stuff. And we rotate through that. So yes, we do rotate through a good amount of our food storage. And right now I've got over 2 years worth of survival food from my family. And remember, that's a soon to be family of 9. So it's a heck of a lot of survival food, but gives me peace of mind. And we do rotate through it. And then every time we use maybe a month or 2 months, I'm like, I'm going to go stock up again. And I rebuy what we just used because that's the number I want to be at. I mean, after the pandemic, when everybody was fleeing to the grocery store, it didn't matter to me because I just ate what we had. We didn't need to go to the grocery store. Let's see what else here. Which candidate would be best for our country as president? There's a question. There's a heated question. I haven't decided who I'm going to vote for. I mean, I like Ron DeSantis, but it seems like he's kind of trailed off lately. So I really liked him several months ago. But I don't know. Yeah, we got to wait and see what happens. I can't believe that Biden right now is still running. I can't believe somebody else hasn't stepped up to the plate. But yeah, I don't know who it's going to be Republican wise. Obviously, hopefully they win. Hopefully they defeat Biden or whoever ends up being the Democrat there. But we shall see. There's still time left. I hope it's a good candidate, and I hope it's a Republican candidate who can knock off a Democrat. So my nose is itching. My allergies. That's another thing. I take Zyrtec daily, and my allergies have been blowing up and bothering me this morning. So speaking of preparedness, I have a lot of Zyrtec daily stored up because, well, it was out for a while. It's probably during the pandemic, and you couldn't find the generic. And the regular Zyrtec is expensive, so you want to buy the generic. But I've got a lot of that stuff stocked up, which is always a good thing. Jason, is there a specific threat which you consider imminent, or is your preparedness more non-specific? I would say the specific threat that I'm prepared for right now is a long-term grid down scenario. I mentioned it many times in the past. If most people knew how in depth foreign countries are trying to bring down our grid, how in depth foreign countries are probing, meaning doing attacks so they can see how we fix them. And I know firsthand of operations that have barely kept our grid from going down in multiple states. So grid down attack is what I'm preparing for, which means I've got several generators, the propane, the gas generators, the solar generators, my 2 years worth of food storage that I just mentioned, lots of water storage. I was looking the other day, so I have a lot of water filters. And what I'm about to say, you're going to think I'm crazy. You're going to think it's overkill, but it doesn't cost that much. Right now, I have enough. Well, I have several hundred gallons worth of water stored in my house, cool and dry place. But let me see. I have about 36,000 gallons I can purify with all the water filters I own. So I own several water filters. Go to survfilter.com, SURV filter.com if you want to see what I use. But I own enough water filters where I can purify 36,000 gallons worth of water before I run out. And if you use 1 gallon per person per day, which is at a minimum you should use, kind of like double that. So let's just say I have enough ability to purify water for my family for well over a year, for a long, 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 long time, which is the way I want it. And I also know where the creeks are in my area, where the lake is in my area, where if I have to go out and get stuff, then I can. And one of the bug out locations I have, which is one of the reasons I bought it, actually has some springs. So it's like it's got water bubbling up from the ground. I wish it was black gold, but it's not. It's water, which will be more important than black gold in a crisis scenario. So that's, yeah. And where I live in Utah, it's hard to find water because we're in southern Utah. You have to go up in the mountains. But anyway, so I have a place now that has a spring, several springs that bubble up from the ground, a little creek, where I can get filtered water if I run out of my hundreds of gallons at my house. Let's see. Catherine says, I'm relatively new to firearms, so is it easy to shoot a rifle if I'm right-handed but left eye dominant? Great question, Catherine. So Catherine is right-handed but left eye dominant. Guess what, Catherine? So am I. I'm right-handed. So if I shoot a pistol, if I come out here with my pistol and I'm aiming, I have to cock my head just slightly because I'm right-handed and left eye dominant. So right now, this is my Smith & Wesson Chief Special. So if I'm coming out, and I can't even line it up because I'm too close to the monitor here, but you would see me. So when you're shooting a rifle, because you're right-handed and left eye dominant, the way I do it is you use your right eye for that. And it works because your eye is close enough to the sights. So when I'm shooting a pistol sight and I'm all the way out here, I can't use my right eye. If I keep it open, it's blurry because it's too far away. But rifle sights are enough where I can use my right eye to shoot a rifle, and that's how I shoot. The only thing you have to worry about is you will get eye fatigue a lot quicker using your right eye because you're left eye dominant. So if you were a sniper and you were trying to use your right eye as a sniper and do long range shooting, it wouldn't work. But for me, when I'm training on my AR or shooting my 22, it works because I'm not sitting there for hours at a time. So yes, Catherine, you can do it. Shoot with your right eye, even though you're left eye dominant doing rifles, and you are able, will be you know what I mean? Will be able to do it. What brand of generators, propane tanks, solar power, etc., that's able to power a house? For how long are they good, legit brands that's reliable and tough? So, of course, there's Generac. You can get a whole house generator. And like I have a lot of buddies that live in Puerto Rico because tax rates in Puerto Rico are favorable to business owners. And they all have whole house generators because we know Puerto Rico, the grid system there is terrible. I mean, what was my buddy the last time they had a storm? I think he said he went 11 days without power. And he didn't care because his whole house generator was functioning the whole time. As far as gas generators, I like Honda gas generators. They're more expensive, but they work. They've never let me down, type of thing. Solar, there's a lot of companies out there. I mean, Goal Zero, Jackery. I own several different solar companies, and they all work fine. As far as propane, I'm trying to think. I have a big propane generator, and I want to say it's a Buffalo Sportsman or Champion Buffalo Sportsman propane generator. and it works good too. So I have a lot of propane tanks stored in my house, not in my house, in my shed in my backyard. And the reason you want a lot of propane, obviously, is not only for your generator, but for cooking your meals. So I have several propane stoves. That way, when I need to cook my survival food, I can cook it on the propane stove. So we've got Camp Chef, but that eats a lot of propane. So you don't want to do that for long-term survival. I have Stansport. I have a Coleman single burner propane stove, a lot of different propane stoves. And yeah, so store propane. The beauty of propane, you can store it indefinitely. Doesn't matter if it's 150 million degrees out or 150 million degrees below out, you can store propane in all kinds of conditions. So that's why I like propane too. Let me see. Mr. Hanson, coffee is a natural antihistamine. I don't drink coffee for religious reasons. If I did, or if I wasn't religious, I probably would. But yeah, for religious reasons, I don't drink any coffee. So that's why I guess why I take Zyrtec and all that. How do you determine, John says, how do you determine whether you are right hand or left eye dominant? So I believe, it's been a while since I've done that, I'm not sure do it, is you pick something on a wall, like pick a light switch, and then you put your finger in the triangle, and I'm pretty sure this is how you do it. So let me see how I can do it. And then you just naturally bring your hand back, and you got to close one. I can't remember now. You got to close your eye, and whatever eye it goes to is your dominant eye. So if it leave both eyes open, you can see how long ago I did this. And whatever eye goes to is your dominant eye. Or maybe you close one eye, and what does it go? I think it's leave both eyes open. Somebody will chime in here. But that's the way to do it, is just make your triangle, pick a square, and see which eye the hand naturally is drawn to, and that is your dominant eye. Let me see what else here. Mr. Hanson, at your time at Langley, did you ever hear of James Angleton? He was the guy, I believe he was way before my time. And if I'm thinking about the right person, he was the guy who was the CIA counterterrorism guy or counter surveillance guy or counter something guy back in the day. Let me know if that's the right guy that I'm thinking of. Because, yeah, it's ringing a bell, but obviously I don't remember the full story or anything like that. I've got about 5 more minutes for today, and we're going to wrap up. So I'm going to hit some more of these questions. Digital Dreamer says, I run my home on 4 battery banks. I love battery banks. I have those too. I think battery banks are great for running stuff, and obviously have solar and everything. So yeah, battery banks, I use them, I don't say often, because luckily our power where I live doesn't go out often, but I've used them when our power goes out. And battery banks are easy because you don't have to fire up your generators or anything like that. So yes, I'm a fan of that. Yeah, plenty of people are chiming in about how to choose your dominant eye. They're saying the right way and all that. So yeah, pay attention to them. Brian's letting you know how you can do it and all that kind of stuff. So Floppy says, yeah, Angleton was the head of counterintelligence. If I remember, he had some problems, meaning he screwed up big time. Like he was not the stud everybody thought he was, and he had a lot of mistakes. But again, I don't remember the full story, but I do remember hearing about him. But I'd have to go do research because I don't remember exactly what he did. Let me see. We're still, focus on, okay. So a lot of people are saying just focus on the small object. Whatever eye it comes to is your dominant eye. And like I said, I am left eye dominant. I'm right-handed, shooting a pistol, never had a problem. You can still be an accurate shooter. You can still have no problem in self-defense or home defense. No matter what you're shooting, a rifle, a pistol, or my Smith & Wesson Chiefs, what is this, Model 49? Yeah, Model 49. Anyway, great little revolver. This is actually one of my house guns, meaning, well, not this one because I keep this one in my office, but I have a lot of snubby revolvers that are all over my house in rapid access safes just because they're great little guns. You can leave them loaded for years. They have no problems. They are hard to shoot from a distance, meaning if you think you're going to take somebody out at 50 yards, that's tough to do, and they have a lot of kick. But for an inside the house gun, great little guns. And you can buy these used, and they're not that expensive at all kind of thing. So I'm a fan of little snubby revolvers type of thing. All right. Hey, Gregory, I appreciate the kind comment. That means a lot to me. He says you have a whole lot of excellent material on your shows and the books you offer. Thank you, sir. Well, thank you, Jeffrey. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. I always appreciate your questions. I love your questions because it forces me to teach you, to learn myself of things I may have forgotten in the past and all that kind of thing. So I'm going to try do these at least weekly. Please join me every week. We'll put it up on YouTube of the date and the time, and because the time and date will change between if I'm doing training and not and all that kind of stuff. So thank you again for giving me your time today. I always appreciate it. God bless you. God bless our country, and have a wonderful rest of your day today. And let me figure out how to end this.